Snack time Cabbage Patch. Cabbage Patch Kids. Cabbage Patch Kids is an iconic line of dolls, super popular in the 1980s and 90s. They were loved for their lifelike faces and variety of models. The dolls looked like babies with individuality, and in 1996, the company Mattel decided to add an interactive element and released a special version, the Snack Time Cabbage Patch doll. These dolls could eat. They had a motorized mouth that chewed special plastic snacks like fries, cookies, and so on. A child could feed the doll, it would swallow the food and automatically grind it with teeth inside. It all sounded quite cute until these dolls started eating children's hair and fingers. What was the danger? The mouth mechanism worked on a small motor that activated when an object entered the doll's mouth. But here's what they forgot to consider. It didn't have a stop button. Neither a sensor nor a manual switch. If the doll started chewing, it wouldn't stop until it swallowed the item completely. And if a child accidentally brought a finger or their hair too close, the doll would just start pulling them in, not stopping. Some children literally got stuck with their faces in the doll in panic. In the United States, more than 100 complaints from parents were recorded. In January 1997, Mattel officially recalled more than 500,000 dolls. Since then, Snacktime Cabbage Patch Kids have never been released again. Clackers, clicks, clacks. This simple-looking toy became an icon of the 1970s. It consisted of two hard acrylic balls the size of a small apple, attached to the ends of a string. In the center was a plastic handle for the child to hold. The aim of the game was to swing the balls so they clacked against each other from below and above, making a distinctive clacking sound. What was the danger? Strong impacts between the balls caused the acrylic to crack and shatter. These heavy plastic balls could not only break off but also fly off at a furious speed like a projectile. Fragments hit the face, eyes, broke teeth, and even pierced the skin. Facial and eye injuries were reported in the United States, Canada, Europe, and Latin America. In some cases, children suffered concussions because one of the balls hit them directly on the forehead. One notable incident occurred in New York. A child required surgical assistance after a fragment from a shattered ball went under the skin near the eye. In the late 1970s, the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission began an investigation and officially recognized the toy as dangerous. Manufacturers were advised either to change the material of the balls to a more durable one or to cease production. After the recalls began and negative press increased, stores refused to purchase new batches. Clackers became a symbol of how even a simple toy can be deadly if poorly designed. Aquadots, a set for children's creativity. It included hundreds of small colored beads, which children could arrange into figures and patterns on a special board. After the beads were arranged in the desired shape, they needed to be sprayed with water, and they would stick together, creating bright three-dimensional crafts. Simple, creative, and at first glance, an absolutely safe set. The toy quickly became a sales hit worldwide. It even received awards as the best creative toy of the year. Millions of children around the world were fascinated by this set. What was the danger? The problem lay in the chemical composition of the coating of these very beads. The manufacturer, a Chinese contractor, secretly replaced the approved and safe ingredient with a cheaper alternative. When ingested, this component turns into a substance that causes central nervous system depression, coma, seizures, and can lead to death. Dozens of cases of child poisoning were recorded in total. Moreover, doctors could not understand the cause for a long time. Toys in Asian. In November 2007, a massive campaign began to recall toys in more than 40 countries. In the United States alone, over 4 million Aquadot sets were recalled. The manufacturer faced class action lawsuits and huge fines. After the scandal, the toy was relaunched under a different name and with a completely new safe composition. Buckyballs neodymium magnetic balls. This is a set of small but super strong magnetic balls made from a neodymium alloy. Each ball is about 5 mm in diameter. Initially sold as a stress relief puzzle for adults. Twist, mold, build, and create shapes, relaxing the mind. They stuck to each other with a pleasant click, forming chains, rings, cubes, stars. Very addictive. Ngyakuto Sava, he says he was indeed a hit. Despite the 18+ label, Buckyballs started ending up in children's hands, and that's where the trouble begins. The main problem is swallowing. A small child can easily swallow one ball, mistaking it for candy. But if they swallow 2 or more, they will attract each other through the intestinal walls. This causes tissue rupture, internal bleeding, blood poisoning, and in some cases, death. In the United States, hundreds of emergency surgeries have been recorded to remove buckyballs from the stomach and intestines. One of the most well-known cases is a 2-year-old boy in Ohio who swallowed 8 balls and 3 days later ended up in intensive care with intestinal perforation and sepsis. In China and Russia there were also fatal cases, as reported by doctors. In 2012, the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission filed a lawsuit against the company that produced buckyballs. A multi-year legal process began, during which the magnets were massively removed from stores. The company was forced to suspend sales and recalled the product, but the manufacturers openly resisted, stating that it was the responsibility of the parents, not theirs. Easy Bake Oven is a mini oven. This is a toy oven that the company Kenner Products and later Hasbro launched for sale back in 1963. The idea was simple but ingenious. A child bakes real cupcakes and cookies using the heat from a 100-watt light bulb. Later versions jet heating elements like in a regular oven boto compact. What is the danger? Despite its child-friendly presentation, the Easy Bake Oven concealed an actual heat of up to 200 to 300 degrees Celsius. Moreover, the older versions did not have a thermal lock or protective cover. Children could easily stick their fingers inside. Only in 2006 to 2007 did Hasbro receive more than 250 reports of children getting their hands stuck inside the oven, 77 of which involved second and third degree burns. In 2007, Hasbro recalled about 1 million ovens. The toy was redesigned to meet new safety standards. The protective shield was added, the power supply was changed, and the through compartment where hands got stuck was removed. Lawn darts. This outdoor game has been popular in the United States since the 50s. It looks like regular darts, only much larger. Players would throw them into a ring, lying on the ground, trying to hit the target. The idea is simple. It's like Skittles or ring toss, but instead of balls or sticks, there are metal spears with a sharp tip weighing half a kilogram. What was the danger? Accuracy. Children and even adults often miscalculated the trajectory and darts would stick into legs, arms, heads. They were launched upwards at 3 to 4 meters. If they missed, the dart would just stick into someone nearby. By the early 1980s, there were about 700 recorded cases of serious injuries from lawn darts in the United States. The most tragic case was in 1987 when a 7-year-old girl, Michelle Snow from California, died after a dart pierced her skull. In 1988, following Michelle's tragedy and legal pressure, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission officially banned lawn darts. Production, sale, and even import are completely banned. Skydancers. These are magical fairies with wind blades that soared into the air if you pulled the cord sharply. A girl who plays the doll in the launch base, Polikaris Honoreis Akumasha Stylish has pulled the handle, and the fairy would take off with a spectacular spin like a helicopter or mini drone. The wings spun, creating a beautiful spiral trajectory, and it looked, well, really cool. But there was one downside: they couldn't land safely. Skydancers could take off at speeds of up to 60 kilometers per hour and moved unpredictably, so you never knew if the fairy would fly up or crash right into your face. Adam datos on the shelndo, diava. Threat is the hard plastic wings which when spinning turned into blades capable of scratching the skin, hitting the eyes and causing a concussion upon direct impact. The American Consumer Product Safety Commission received over 150 reports of injuries. In the year 2000, the manufacturer Gallup Toys, a subsidiary of Hasbro, recalled more than 8 million units of Skydancers. Production was halted, and stores were required to remove the remaining stock from shelves. CSI Fingerprint Examination Kit. This toy was released at the peak of the popularity of the CSI Crime Scene Investigation series. It was a kit for young forensic scientists. Fingerprints, invisible ink, brushes, powder for lifting prints, and even a small microscope. And everything would have been fine if not for this magical powder. What was the danger? The fingerprint powder turned out to be a real killer in a box. It contained asbestos, a material considered the highly toxic carcinogen since the 70s. Even the slightest inhalation of asbestos dust can eventually cause mesothelioma, a rare but deadly form of pleural cancer, lung cancer, asbestosis, and irreversible respiratory system damage. In 2007, an organization for raising awareness about asbestos disease demanded an immediate recall of the product. In response, the manufacturer Planet Toys denied the problem, but Walmart and other major retailers removed the toy from sale. As a result, the set was recalled from stores in the United States, Canada, and Europe. Planet Toys faced several lawsuits. The United States Consumer Product Safety Commission stated that the product did not meet safety standards and launched an official investigation. The set never returned to sale. Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab. This is a real scientific laboratory set released in the 1950s in the United States. It was intended for teenagers interested in physics and in particular nuclear energy. The set included several samples of real radioactive materials, including uranium, a working Geiger counter, a Wilson chamber, a device for visualizing alpha particles, an electroscope, an instruction book, and even a brochure, How to Become a Nuclear Physicist. This is not just a toy, it's almost a home laboratory for studying nuclear physics, but it was intended for children from 10 years old. What was the danger? The set contained 4 samples of radioactive elements, including uranium ore, JOC, K, NAD, NAD, and although the doses were comparatively small, they could emit alpha, beta, and gamma radiation. Some experts later claimed that if a child spent a lot of time with the set, it could lead to increased radiation exposure, especially if stored improperly. No specific cases of radiation poisoning have been documented. However, modern experts say that even short-term exposure to radioactive materials without proper protection is dangerous for DNA and cell growth in children. In the end, fewer than 5,000 sets were sold, and production was discontinued in less than a year after launch. If you want to discuss this video or suggest an idea for the next one, join to my channel.